all NASA footage. So I mean, I didn't actually do the computer modeling, but that was like, oh, it's available on NASA's site as a demonstration of, you know, Newton's third law. So, right.
And I think we have Kennedy to thank for the fact that everything of NASA's is publicly available immediately. Like, there aren't many agencies that are like that. We can get satellite imagery almost in real time.
Yeah.
Then the highest compliment I can give you is it's professional, and I would use it in my classroom.
Wow, thank you.
It's very
I like it. I think it's great. Yeah. The class that you guys are part of, it was called Making Educational Video. Is that what?
Yeah, educational video production or producing educational video.
Producing it. So for you, you had a little bit of original footage, but you also did a great job of editing existing.
I edited existing NASA footage, right.
And did you guys have a facility where you could actually do edits?
Yes, there was a lab. In the lab they had Final Cut Pro on the machines there, so we could do it there.
We're using Final Cut 10?
Yes.
And they taught you how to do that?
Yes, I think that was the piece they didn't want to do as much. That sort of had we come in with that. The problem is, had we come in with that, the people that came in with that are the people who didn't have the education background and weren't really as interested. They
just wanted to be their indie
they were
filmmakers.
Yeah, they were Marlins groupies, and they wanted, and they think there's money in this kind of video making. So that's what they're headed for. Some of them were interested in education, but it didn't strike me as
more in the documentary that they were into.
Right.
Yeah.
And there was a philosophical discussion one day of the difference between documentary films and educational films, and whether they're the same, if one is a subset of the other, or vice versa, right? And there was a lot of heated discussions going back and forth about it, because there were clearly people in the class that all they wanted to do was make documentary films and thought that was educational.
The education market would buy it.
And the whole idea of what is it when you're trying to teach something? You know, what does that encapsulate?
Right, and how does
And
that...
you didn't get to that?
We didn't discuss that.
Was your teacher a teacher, an education person, or a...
Well, he's one of the people who teaches faculty at the Bach Center.
Yeah.
What's the Bach Center?
It's basically a place that teaches faculty educational technology and how to apply it in the classroom.
Okay.
It's supposed to be Harvard's Professional Development Center.
Oh.
So,
But it didn't really have...
BOK.
But it didn't necessarily have...
It's in Derek Bach, who's the former president.
It didn't have the educational...
This is an interesting
that we would have liked,
This summer I did some research work for Software Industry Information Association. They're putting together a survey of all the companies that are in the ed tech space for pre-K to 12. And
there's only one. Pearson.
No, it's
I'm
kidding. It's
like,
crowded,
it is ridiculous.
but there are the huge ones.
Right.
It's crowded, but NBC has a division called NBC Learn, and they've taken all the footage that they use for covering major events in history, and they make it available. Yeah, because you can get some.
Do you know why it's available? There's a great book written by my boss, Eric Klopfer at MIT.
Oh, really?
It's called. Oh man, I can't remember what it's called now, but it just came out in 2013. Eric Klopfer, Klopfer. And it's fascinating because as I'm losing faith in the whole team at MIT, I'm thinking it makes so much sense that he would have spent years writing this book about how big projects fail.
So what's it called? How projects fail?
Well, he'll look it up. I have it on.
That's like the subtitle. I can't remember the actual.
Now, how do you spell? Is it Eric with
it's ERIC.
Oh, it's SC.
And KLOPFER. He is one of the co-chairs of the comparative media department at MIT, and he's affiliated with the Media Lab, and he co-runs the the teacher education program at MIT, and co-manages and coordinates the Education Arcade group, which is where I work. And none of them work very well, and you can see why just in that description.
He's
of
very
it.
hands-off.
Oh, and he's been on sabbatical this year,
Yeah.
and doesn't
He's
have a
hurt.
replacement, and he's creating 4 edX classes that have been funded for the next
4?
2 semesters.
Went from
Wow.
1 to 2
Yes,
to 4?
they're doing 4 simultaneously, the same group.
Who's developing
They're
that?
they're developing new software for the 4 classes, new applications for within the class. They're trying to develop a new platform. This is the MIT method,
Who's doing
and
that,
why
Josh?
things fail miserably.
So actually,
Everybody, Daniel is working. I mean,
so this doesn't
Wendy-
happen at the laboratory.
Oh, so
No, it just so does
the
not.
book is called "The More We Know."
Oh,
Like the more we know, the more we don't know.
I mean, so
The rise and
difference
fall of
between
IQ, which was the NBC MIT
That's like
joint
the
venture
PSA.
into interactive learning.
Oh.
They were trying
Yeah.
to monetize all that stuff, and they failed so miserably that they finally just opened it up.
So we were saying today about this
NBC
stuff.
and who? I'm sorry, just who?
And MIT.
MIT.
So Eric Kloffer and his team worked with
Oh.
NBC for years to develop this. How do we take the news footage resources and package them in an educational way for kids?
Well,
And
Monica,
CBS is
I
trying to
I
do the
mean,
same
I
thing.
know how many cuts I have in this. I was doing a lot of digging and searching to find every single shot that I was wanted, and all of it I pulled off online. A lot of it is directly from NASA. Some of it is NASA news footage covering NASA events. But it's like, I mean, a lot of stuff's out there. You
But it's-
really have to dig for it.
You have to
It's
dig.
professional in the way that I'm incredibly critical of video, having been in the television world. And what you did is it was probably mayhem. You probably had dozens or hundreds or whatever.
I had lots of little
But you
clips.
gave
from all of
us
them.
nice long bits.
Yeah.
So often people go in the MTV route and they have all the filters and the transitions, and I didn't feel like it was very jarring between the NASA footage and your footage. You had a narrative, you had a flow to it, you had a shape to it. Like and I'm sure that wasn't the case with all of your classmates. Although I'm sure
Yeah.
some of your classmates.
Yeah, I wanna know what you guys did.
Some of them were very
Well,
polished.
next time I'll bring mine. I don't
What
think-
did, tell us what you did.
So I did one on what scientific computing is, just an introduction to what is scientific computing.
Wow.
And so we talk about, when you're gonna do, and it was aimed at people who haven't seen it before. Did it feel like it was accessible? I mean, I do talk about,
I liked it.
and the
It,
simulations, so I talk about this, you do simulations, like weather simulations.
Right.
We do image processing, signal processing is another way of, and the third other large one is big data, like how do you get all that stuff? How does Amazon know all this stuff? And people worry about NSA, but you should know what Amazon
Right.
and
True.
They're living traces.
Google, Amazon.
Apple
Yeah.
and just all those people know stuff.
Cookies everywhere.
They're and they do more, I think they probably do more with it.
Right. Whereas
Right.
the other,
Google
the NSA is probably just
every
data
search,
mining, you know?
Yeah.
Where they're just, in case something happens, they'll go back and look.
They're not
Where-
selling it to
But
anyone.
yeah, Google, Amazon, everyone else, they're like selling it.
Yeah, they're
like-
Google is
they're
using it
selling
to
they're
predict
selling it.
your behavior.
Yeah.
Well, so is Amazon because they want to sell you stuff.
Right, Amazon too, it's like,
And then they're
well, you
selling
like
it to
this.
other
The
people.
ones that
like
scare me the most are like when Facebook started accepting advertising, and now that's
It's targeted.
their real power is there. Then you're
Yeah.
like, wow, I gave them everything,
Yeah.
everything.
I know.
Yeah, now they know what kind of paper towels you buy.
Right.
Yeah.
So I did, but there was someone else who did a really nice video. It was for learning Spanish, and so what they did was they
Yes,
made
yes.
banana bread. And they did it in someone's kitchen, and they did it, they spoke in both Spanish and English. And then when they had the recipe, because he did one first round through, and then when he did the
That's the one I
recipe,
saw.
he did it, we did it both in Spanish and English, and he said it in, I think
English.
the,
No,
no, I think it was only in
Spanish,
Spanish, but he may have changed it, I'll have to remember. But he went through it, it was very nicely done, and so you had them saying things, and there were translations. But that one was really nicely done. Later he told us, yeah, and he said, see that funny cut? That's because the dog walked through it. but it was
Learning
really, it was
Spanish in
smooth,
context,
yeah,
right.
and it went along, and it was like, this is something, the whole thing is, we're gonna repeat some of these words often enough that you will know what they are. We show them to you so that you know what the recipe is. And you have this basically very simple way of learning and feeling comfortable with Spanish.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
See, there were elements of the class that was great.
Yes.
That really came together. Some of the people really did go there to teach, to learn to teach something in a better, more effective way.
And had a,
And then there was the crowd that was
mindset.
like just looking to make a documentary, and it's like, we'll just do the same old documentary techniques. We just